नमो अनंतां नमो सिद्धां नमो आर्यां नमो ज्ञां नमो लोय सुपंचमुखार सर्वपापनाशं मंगलां च सर्वसिंहप्रमहेलम् ओंकारं विना नित्यं ध्यायन्ति योगिनं कामदं मोक्षदं चैव ओंकाराय नमो नमः नमः समय साराय स्वानुभूत्या चकासते चित्स्वभावाय भावाय सर्वभावान्तरच्छिदे अज्ञानतिमिरन्दानं ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः तीर्थंकरो जगतना जयवंत वर्तो ओंकारनाद जिननो जयवंत वर्तो जिनना समो शरण सौ जयवंत वर्तो ने तीर्थचार जगमा जयवंत वर्तो नमो ये तीर्थनायक नमो ओंकारनादने ओंकार संगरोतेने नमो ते श्री कुंद कुंदने अहो उपकार जिनवरनो कुंदनो ध्वनि देवनो जिन कुंद ध्वनियाप्य अहो ते गुरु कानन अहो ते भगवती माता ध्रुव अचल ने अनुपम गति पामेल सर्वे सिद्धने वंदी कहूँ सुत केवल कथित असमय प्राप्त अरे एक शुद्ध सदा अरूपी ज्ञान दर्शनमय करे कहीं अन्य थे मारू जरी परमाणु मात्र नित्य ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो Okay, so here we are on the last stretch of the sixth common attribute, and that's eternal persistent permanence, and that's aguru lagutva. This is very important attribute, and as we go further, it will just tell us why it's very important. Just it says that one substance does not merge with the other. Okay, we know that part. One attribute does not merge with the other within the confinement of a substance. There are infinite attributes and they have their own independence. Actually, there is an effect of one attribute on the other one, but they still maintain their own independence. For example, eternal existence attribute is there. What's the function of it? It just makes sure that everything within the soul substance has an eternal existence from no beginning, no end. So now its effect is on the knowledge attribute. So what does knowledge attribute do? Knowledge attribute's function is to know, but at the same time there is an effect of eternal eternal existence attribute on this knowledge attribute. And that's why this knowledge attribute remains forever. There is no beginning, no end. So as long as the attribute is independent, but each other has their own effect on each other. So that's what kind of a unique thing within a given substance with those infinite attributes present. Now, attribute of a substance cannot be scattered away because attribute means substance. Substance means attribute. So for example, can I take the sweetness out of sugar? No. Sweetness means sugar. Sugar means sweetness. Can I take salty taste out of salt? No. Saltiness and salt, they are having the a relationship, inherent relationship. So the attribute cannot get. Now, for example, I have a module of one module, second module, third module, fourth module. I can take one computer module out and put a new module in. Attributes are not like that. If you take one out, they all come out. So that way it's impossible to remove the attribute from a substance. So the attribute cannot scatter away from the substance. So that's what it means to tell us. So now what happens next? Let's go here. Okay, so we'll just sing this line over here and then we'll further go ahead. यह गुण अगुरु लघु भी सदा रखता महत्ता है महा गुण द्रव्य को पर रूप यह होने न देता है आहा निज गुण पर्यय सर्व ही रहते सतत निज भाव में करता न हरता अन्य कोई यो लखो स्वस्वभाव में. Brahmachari Yaspalji really in these 4 lines really tells exactly what Aguru Lagutva means, what eternal persistent permanence attribute means. What he says, because of this Aguru Lagu Gun, because of this eternal persistent permanence attribute, it remains in the substance forever, and attribute and substances cannot become for somebody else's. They don't become for the own objects or anything. Nij gun paryay sarvahi rahte satat nij bhav mein means the attribute and mode all the time remains in their own natural state and they don't go away. Remember, attribute has their own natural state and so is mode has its own natural state. How come mode has its own natural state? Because mode is independent. Mode does not depend on anybody, and mode has its own inherent nature. Even though it lasts for one summer only, one moment only, but still it has its own capacity to remain its own way. It doesn't depend on anybody else. The mode, it occurs independently. It could be the favored man, it could be omniscient mode, it could be right faith mode, samaddarshan mode, or it could be rag, it could be inclination of attachment mode. All those modes occur because of their own independence. There are limits present, but the generation of the mode will occur by its own self. And that's what it's called Nij Bhav, means they remain within their own independence. Karta na harta anya koi yahan lakho swaswabhav mein. There is nobody is a doer and nobody is an enjoyer of anything else. The mode itself is a doer of its own, attribute doer of its own, substance is doer of its own. Otherwise, they don't do anybody else's work at all. So that's what it means over here. So let's say not what it says next. Due to presence of eternal persistent permanence, this substance maintains its own control. This substance, the soul has a relationship with infinite attribute, relationship with a worldly object forever. For the soul is till soul remains soul. My soul has a relationship with the body. This body will disappear. Next body will come. Third body will come. Infinite bodies will come. Soul. Yes.
I mean, my understanding is these guns are for substances, right?
Yes.
But isn't pariyaya, is that a substance or it's a modification that's dependent on the existence of a substance?
It's a modification, but it remains, that mode occurs of its own. For example, you are living in the United States of America, and Barack Obama being president right now, he has rules and regulation. Whatever he says, everybody has to follow. Yes, that's true. Constitution is there. Everybody is to follow. But within that confinement of Constitution or within that rule of president, I have independence. He cannot come to me and says, because I made the law that you have to have protein, carbohydrate, fat, and you have to have a meat. No, you cannot push me that one. I have my own independence. And as long as I observe all the rules, regulation, and I remain within the confinement of the Constitution, I have my independence. Same way, the mode also belongs to a substance, But within the substance, mode has its own independence. Mode decides of its own whether it has to be a pure perfect mode, or it could be a partial perfect mode, or it could be totally impure mode.
Okay, I agree with. I understand. So that explains to me why these pariyas can have, astitva, vastutva, dravyatva, all these other guns. But it seems to me that all these pariyas exist for only a samay, right?
What
One,
that's
how
what
can you boom.
here is a word permanence. You have a question, or Guru Lagu, you have a question.
I guess my question is that my understanding is these pariyas last for one samay. If they last for one samay, how can they be permanent?
If you look at the permanence in the sense, if you look mode by itself, each individual mode is a one samay. But if you look at Pariya is occurring no matter what, for time infinite in the past, it will be there, time immortal in the future. So it's going to be there forever. In that regard, that permanence word we can use it, Aggregate presence of the mode which is there all the time. If this is one samay, there has to be one mode. If this is next samay, there has to be more. If it's infinite time, mode has to be there. So that way, mode is permanent. Mode is permanent forever, because there is not a single samay goes by without any mode in any substance, not only in the soul, but any of the 6 substances.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you this. Can we say that a pariya is permanent, but it's only operative for one samay? Is that correct?
Yeah, because remember, in the substance, the infinite amount of modes are sitting there, and they will come one by one during their own generation time. Now, then you may say, wait a second, how come this pariya could be there for infinite pariya could be there in a substance, and still this substance cannot, it becomes kind of, our brain cannot think about infinite mode being present there. But if we think about ocean, for example, if you're sitting on the beach, then one wave comes, and second wave comes, and third wave comes. Where did they come from? They all come from the ocean. And what do you mean it comes from the ocean? Because they are present in the ocean. They are present in the form of ocean substance. And then each mode will start coming out. Each wave will start coming out that way. So that way we can think that modes are present in a satta. Satta means in a capacity form. It is present in a substance, and each samay it will come in exactly the way it is supposed to come, whatever time it is coming.
So then, Hiranako, do I have a samyakta pariyai and it's just not manifesting?
Yes, it's unmanifested form of samyaktva, unmanifested form of omniscience. It is sitting within you right now. When is that coming? Tomorrow, or next life, or 5 life? But it is going to come. So it is there. Okay. And if there is a soul, for example, if it is a abhavi soul, abhavi and bhavi, that 2 types of soul could be there. Abhavi means there is a soul is exactly the same as a bhavi soul. Only the thing, that soul will never get Bhavi soul will have a liberation capacity in the future sometime. For example, if you go in the mountain, In the base of the mountain, there's a gold, and you go down, you dig it out, you take the dirt out, you purify, and you get a gold. But also gold present under Mount Meru, Meru Parvat niche. Under Mount Meru, there is a presence of gold, but Mount Meru cannot move. You cannot dig Mount Meru. So that gold sitting there will sit there forever. It will never see the daylight at all. So same way, Abhavi Jeev also has a infinite modes, just like everybody else. But you, me, and everybody else, as a Bhavi Jeev, that we have capacity for liberation. That means somewhere in my tons and tons of unmanifested modes, there is a Samyak Darshan mode sitting there. When is it coming in the manifestation? I don't know, because I don't know in the sense it is going to come by its own way. But if I do my own personal effort, if I do my purusha, then that mode is going to come earlier, right now. If I
Okay.
right purusha done. Right?
Yeah, I understand. You can move on.
Let's go next. Okay, so we are just maintain substance. What does it mean? One substance does not become another one. One attribute does not become another one. An attribute of a substance remain together in a given substance and do not scatter away. We already talked about it, so we are not going to go detail with that. So, what's the limitation of the soul substance due to its own eternal, persistent, permanence attribute in self-portrait, substance, area, modes, and attribute? This is the Dravya Kshetra Kal Bhav. That's called Swachatushtai. Chatushtai means four things. Quartet. So self-quartet means Swachatushtai. Means each substance has a four quartet, means substance, area, mode, and attribute. This is a limitation given to a given substance. What does that mean? Means substance is a substance, and the soul means I'm the soul, and if this is the matter, then this is a matter, and this matter will remain as a matter, soul will remain as a soul, dharmastika will remain as a dharmastika, adharmastika will remain as a adharmastika. So that's a substance hood, means the nature of a substance. So it is a fixed for a given substance. Area. Each substance has its area. For example, soul has uncountable space points, and so that soul substance will act within those uncountable space points. Asankhya Pradesi Atma means soul will remain within the confinement of those uncountable space point only. It has no other effect beyond that. So that's the limitation of the substance. Modes. Again, my mode is my mode, and I cannot make your mode. You cannot make my mode. I cannot make mode of the Pudgal. Pudgal cannot make my own mode. Everybody generates their own mode, and that's all it is. So that is a limitation. And attributes. You already said how many attributes I have? Infinite attribute. Look, my infinite attribute cannot play within your attributes. Your attributes cannot work in my in the my attribute. So everything. So these are limitations that we have. It limitation. My action here will be this much limited within the substance, within the uncountable space point, within my own modes, within my own attribute, and that's all. And this is because of eternal persistence, permanence attribute, and this thing happens. So, with infinite attribute of your own maintenance, now we are talking from a substance point of view. The part that we are talking, self-quartet. So, substance with infinite attribute of his own maintains his own existence. Soul does not become other soul or rest of the five substances. Me as a soul means I'm independent. I'm maintaining my own independent existence. There are 6 substances in the universe. And one of the Pandit was asked, how many substances are there? And he said, there are 7 substances. And he said, hey, wait a second, where did you bring the 7th one? I mean, there are only 6 substances. Why you are making 7th one? He said, Dharmastika, Adharmastika, space and time and matter are 5 substances. Soul is a number 6 substances, but out of infinite soul, I am independence of my own soul, which is separate from any other soul, and that's why I'm an independent soul substance, and I'm the 7th substance. So what he meant to say that I have the substance, I have my own independence, and nobody can change that independence. Nobody can bother my independence. So that's a soul perspective we are taking. Now we are talking guys out, so at least I can see it good. Okay. So from area perspective, what happens? Me as a soul substance, an innumerable space point of my own, and they do not become this innumerable space point. They cannot be taking part in a matter, Dharmastika, Adharmastika, Akashka. They cannot take part in those things at all. My sphere of influence remains within this area perspective, within my own innumerable space point, and that's my action. That's my action point. I don't care how big is the universe, how many substances are there, how many things are trying to modify me. Nothing doing. I have my sphere of influence within my own innumerable space point. So that's the area's perspective. Now, modal perspective. Me as a soul is infinite modes of its own. Each attribute, it has its own mode and cannot become the mode of any other attribute of the soul. Remember, what happens here? My attribute of the knowledge, my attribute of the faith, my attribute the conduct, they have its own mode occurring at a given time. Means knowledge mode cannot become faith mode, knowledge mode. The eternal existence mode, everything. Their own generation from their own particular attribute only. So there is no relationship between knowledge and remember, we are right now within the soul substance. We are talking, going into the soul substance, and now we are talking. What are we talking? That now there are infinite attributes are there, but they independently work, and each one creates their own mode. This specific mode of a given attribute comes as its own given time and cannot be brought into existence before or after its given time. Means the generation of that particular mode of the knowledge, generation of the particular mode of the faith, generation of a particular mode of a conduct attribute, they will come on their specific time only, and we cannot bring them ahead, or we cannot postpone them for in the future. They do come exactly what time they are supposed to come, because mode has their own independence. That's why they said that a mode is a nirapeksh. Nirapeksh means it is not dependent on anybody. Mode is not dependent on the alien objects. Mode is not dependent on rag and dvesh of external rag and dvesh factors. Mode does not have any effect from any of the multiple attributes present. Mode cannot be modified just because from a substance perspective. So this is the independence of the mode. You know, the philosophy has gone so microscopic that even one Samai's mode, one moment's mode, which comes and goes in the blink of an eye, innumerable amount of modes pass by, and all those modes have their own independence. They don't depend on anybody else. So that's kind of really, if the mode has that much capacity and independence, then you can imagine what happens to the attributes, and what happens to substance. So these are the way the independence goes around. And then from attribute perspective, what happens? Me as a soul has infinite attribute and they cannot be changed. I cannot add any more attribute within me. I cannot take any attribute out. They remain forever. This attribute cannot scatter away. So attributes, whatever I have from time infinite till the time immortal, they will remain the same. We all the souls, not only me, every soul, whether it is a Nigod soul, whether it's a soul into the Sarvat Siddhi, but Dev soul, human soul, or even the Siddha Bhagwan soul, all those souls, they have fixed amount of attributes, whatever attributes they had there on the from the time before, it remains forever, and they cannot, it cannot be increased or decreased. They cannot be scattered away. So these are the way we have the eternal existence, eternal persistent permanence attribute is giving us the idea that how it is helping us out. So now, what are my benefits knowing all these things? One substance has no relationship with another. This point keeps again. This point keeps on coming again and again and again, and we have to establish that idea in our mind that one substance has no relationship to another substance. Every substance has different boundary, eternal existence, and different powers. Everybody has their own power generator is there. Everybody has their own boundary. Everybody has their own eternal existence. One attribute of substance has no relations with the other attributes of the same substance. The knowledge attribute does not have relationship with the faith attribute. Knowledge attribute does its own job. Faith attributes does its own job. How do they work? For example, knowledge attribute. Because of my knowledge attribute, now I have knowledge mode, and because of the knowledge mode, I have the knowledge is somewhat expressed right now. It is expressed in a milder form, or a little bit moderate form, or major form. Now that knowledge mode, I have it. Because of the knowledge mode, I make the decision about the nature of the soul. I understand how the soul structure is there. What's the anatomy of the soul? What's the physiology of the soul? What does soul do every day? What are the things happening within the soul? How many attributes are there, and how those attributes, they work in unity, and how each time a spatial mode comes of a given time without any external influences. So these kind of things occurs in a mode, and the knowledge mode gradually it keeps on working. I keep on trying to learn more and more and more, and slowly now I understand the nature of the soul structure and everything. And as my knowledge keeps on increasing, remember, my faith is still, it is directed to the outside objects only. Faith is doing its own job, putting the attention to the outside material objects. Knowledge keeps on knowing that, wow, I have to know, this is a soul structure, this is a soul's function, and I have to do this one and all that. Once the soul knows all the thing, now the knowledge attribute, the soul, the knowledge attribute and the knowledge mode ends up knowing so much about the soul. Now the faith attribute is a choice next time to go on an outside object to look at it, or to draw the attention to the soul substance. So at that time, the faith attribute decides of its own to have its attention drawn to the nature of the soul. So now these two attributes, they work independently. And Charitra Gun, conduct attribute says, I don't give a damn. I just do my own work. I don't have to do anything at all. But when the right faith occurs, the knowledge becomes now right knowledge. Then conduct attribute says, you know what? I want to get engrossed within the soul substance. So this attribute keeps on working towards the soul to get engrossed more, greater engrossment, and greater form of engrossment. And once it remains engrossed for 48 minutes, then acoustic omniscience knowledge. So all the attributes and all the modes, they work independently. That's the third point. And then attribute cannot get scattered away from substance because they have same eternal existence, boundary, and power. So basically, I have my own attribute within me, and they cannot get scattered away. What else I learned? Every substance has same number of attributes. How many attributes do I have? It infinite. What does infinite means? As we said before, we'll repeat that one. It's always good to repeat, to just have that thing go deep into the brain. All number of souls in this universe are infinite. Number of matter particles in this universe are infinite times infinite. Time units, samay, from past, present, and future. The three times, the moments, the samay of 3 times, they are infinite times infinite times infinite. First is infinite souls, infinite times infinite is Pudgal. Third infinite is samay, number of samay from the eternity. Number 4, the space point. How many space points are there? In the space points of this space are 4th infinite. Infinite soul, infinite times infinite is a Pudgal, infinite times 3rd infinite is a time, and 4th one is a space point of a space. If infinite is the attribute, that many attributes I have it within me. And here I have that many attributes within me. I'm loaded with attributes. And here what I'm looking at it, I just said, this is my iPhone 5 only. If I get iPhone 6, I'll be very happy. I mean, come on, guy. You have a tons of your attribute within you, and you are trying to look something to have happiness coming from the matter particles. Are you nuts? Why you're not looking within you and get happiness from within you? So that's what it is, that a number of attributes are remaining same within me, and infinite number of attributes within me. Mode of one attribute has no relationship with the mode of the other attribute in the same substance, as we already talked about it. The knowledge mode has no relationship to the faith mode, has no relationship with the conduct mode. So all the modes also remain independent within a given substance also. Present mode of an attribute has no relationship with the past or future mode of the same attribute. My knowledge mode occurring right now at this time has no relationship what it was yesterday, or what it was just prior, or what is going to be in the future. There is no effect. So they all are independent. Each mode occurs independently, and that's why, let's say 10 modes. My number 1 mode is mithyatva, 2nd mode is mithyatva, 3rd mode is mithyatva, 4th mode is mithyatva, and 5th one is samyatva. So that 5th mode did not have any bearing from the 4th one. This one refutes the theory of Buddhism. Buddhism says that the soul means transient only, one samay only. One soul is born, dies within one moment. Then the next soul is born. Then the 3rd soul is born. And then what they say, that effect of the 1st soul is felt on the 2nd soul, and felt on the 3rd one, and things like that. Here, what Jainism says, no way. Each mode has their own independence existence. They will do their own work, no relationship with the prior or future modes. Benefits continues. Each substance remains in its own self-portrait. We already talked about it. I'm responsible for my own good and bad. Naturally, I don't have to blame whole world about things not happening my way. And so good or bad occurs because of my own nature, my own way. There is nobody is influencing me. No material or quasi karma can affect me. No material karma or quasi karma, yeah, that means dravya karma and no karma cannot affect me. The body is a no karma or quasi karma for me. Can body, because of body, can I make can I have a rag and dvesh? Yes. I have a headache right now. I have a fever right now. I have diabetes right now. I'm not feeling good. I have a whatever. Then, because body is not good, because body has some problem, I also feel bad about it. Or there is a fruition of the knowledge obscuring karma, perception obscuring karma, deluding karma, obstructing karma. All those karma come in fruition, and because of those things, I end up with a lack of knowledge. I end up with more rag and dvesh. I end up with a obstruction of benefits and everything. Is it true or not? Well, I do see that happens every day in my life, but it's not true. Why it's not true? Because let's presume that, okay, I have a diabetes right now. But if I say, hey, you know what? So what? Now, because of diabetes, my eating habit become regular. So I can control my sugar. Things becomes better. So does the diabetes makes me feel bad? No. I took a challenge and I work with that, and I don't have any problem with that. For example, if somebody tells me that now I have cancer, I have terminal cancer, I have 1 month to live or 2 months to live, is it a good deal, a good thing or bad thing? Well, it all depends how I look at it. Naturally, normal, average person will look at it as a bad thing, but I will look at it as a good thing in the sense, now at least I have 1 month or 2 months to live, and within that time, I can obtain samyak darshan. I can increase my personal efforts tremendously. My self-effort will be increasing. I'll draw my attention to my nature of the soul only, and I can get samyak darshan right now. So, was it good or bad? Depends on how I look at it. Aryan Bhagwan also has a body. So if the body is making me good or bad, then Aryan Bhagwan should also start binding karma. But Aryan Bhagwan is not binding any karma. So material karma or quasi karma cannot affect me at all. Yes, I do get, I join with them right away. I join with the quasi karma. I join with the material karma fruition. And that's why I make my life miserable. But if I control myself, and I said, no way, no material karma are pudgal in nature, and I'm a chetan in nature, I'm a consciousness person. How can non-conscious thing can rule over the conscious things? So that kind of, we have to have the determination, and when that, of course, no karma or quasi-karma can affect me at all. I'm here since time infinite due to me only, and nothing can help or hurt me. So when I realize my own soul, when I realize all the 6 common attributes, then I'm here because of me. Nobody is there to help me out. Nobody is there to hurt me out. That's it. I'm going to be remaining within my own way. Knowing these facts, I remain in my own nature, and that is righteousness. What is a dharma? Dharma is to remain within my own natural state and take my attention away from all outside material things and everything else. My dependency, I have to start cutting it down. And once I cutting it down, then I'm going to take it out completely, my dependency, and I'll be looking to be dependent on my self nature only. And it teaches me about independence of substance, attribute, and modes. It just already tells me that even my modes are independent. Substance is independent, I can understand. Attributes are independent, but even my modes are independent. And that's what the take-home message is here. Now, specific activity of the attribute is, now this is the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes we'll talk. This is something is a really, how can I explain? Actually, this is Kevali Gamya. Only omniscient Lord, He knows about these things, and it is beyond our intellectual capacity to understand this thing very fully. So what does it mean? Shata Gun Hani Vriddhi is a chapter over here. Shat means 6, Gun is Gun, Hani means decrease, Vriddhi means to increase. 6 type, there is something decrease and increase occurs in a mode. How it occurs, let's go through it. But as I said, this is a thing very, very minimum is written in the literature. And when question was asked to Gurudev, he said that this is Kevali Gamya. And I was talking to Hemant Bhai in Toronto, and we were talking about the Shat Gun Hani Vriddhi, and he says, you know what? If we are, as a Chadmasta, as a non-omniscient living being, if we can explain everything to everything about the soul and everything, then what is remaining for the omniscient Lord to explain to me? So some of the things are so microscopic that we may not be able to grasp it, understand it, but we'll just go through some superficial thing, whatever understanding we can get it. So finite of infinite increase and decrease in the indivisible smallest part of the mode is 6, or mode of 6 kind. Now, quite a few words came here. Indivisible smallest part of a mode. What does that mean? Remember, what did we say? One mode, one samay. Right? One mode, one samay. But this one mode of one samay is composite of infinite attributes represented within that one mode itself. Infinite attributes are represented because infinite attributes, they have their own mode and they all merge together to become one mode. So this one mode is indivisible. It's a unique of its own. But if we go within that, by theoretical possibility, we try to dissect this mode, then the infinite parts can be found out. And then these infinite parts are called avibhag pratiched. Avibhag means cannot be divided. Pratiched in the smallest possible part of a given mode. So there is a infinite increase and decrease of this avibhag pratiched occurring in modes all the time, and that's called Shat Gun Hani Vriddhi, and that is dependent on this eternal persistent permanence attribute. How? Increase and decrease in avibhag pratiched of a given mode, that's what we already talked about. Even with the increase and decrease of 6 types of substance, even with the increase and decrease of the 6 types, the substance remains the same. Substance cannot change. Substance's architecture remains the same. Substance's anatomy remains the same. Substance's physiology doesn't change. But within that substance, within that given mode, there are constantly increase and decrease of the indivisible small parts occur in 6 different types. In one sense living being, there is no decrease, and in 5 sense living being, there is no increase in the number of attributes. Remember, attributes are remaining same. There is no changes in the attribute, but the mode is going to have increase and decrease of some avibhag pratiched. And as I said, if we don't understand, leave it that way, because literature says that's all we know about it.
And even Keli Bhagwan cannot explain in terms of words. He knows that one. But the spoken words have limitation. And so they cannot be explained. This six kind is perceived only by omniscient Lord. As we said before, that the omniscient Lord perceives this one. So let's try to look at it, what it means. Sat Gun Hani Vriddhi. Increase means Vriddhi, and increase means Vriddhi. Infinite times increase, innumerable time increase, numerable time increase, numerable part increase, numerable part increase, infinite part increase. Now, this is times, means it keeps on increasing by leaps and bounds. Yeah. Hello? So this is the Anant times Anant Gun Vriddhi, Asankyat Gun Vriddhi, Sankyat Gun Vriddhi, Sankyat Bhag Vriddhi, innumerable Asankyat Bhag Vriddhi, and Anant Bhag Vriddhi. What does it mean? What does it mean that number? Let's presume that I have 100 units with me, and now it is increasing by infinite times. So it increased by infinite times, or that 100 unit increased by innumerable times, or that 100 unit increased by numerable times, or Sankyat Bhag Vriddhi means it increased only by part of the increase. Means let us Sankyat means if you take 10, so 1/10 of increase. Innumerable means Asankyat. Let's say Asankyat, let's take one x as a number. So 1 over x part increase. And infinite, if we take infinite as y, then 1 over y part increase. Does it make sense?
Can I ask a question, Uncle?
Yeah.
Are we talking about the intensity of the Avibhag Pratiched Vriddhi? The intensity, is that what we're talking about?
There is an increase in the Avibhag Pratiched in a given mode, and it constantly keeps on increasing. Like it could be infinite times, innumerable time, numerable time, or numerable part, innumerable part, or infinite part, Now, again, as I said, it's look like Greek and Latin, but that's what it is. And again, nobody can, within the confinement of the knowledge that Samyak Drashti Jeev has it, or the 6th and 7th Gunsthanak Muriraj has it, they cannot explain except saying that this happens,
And is there also equally decreasing? The same thing for decrease?
This is increase. This is Vriddhi, right? So next is a decrease.
Okay.
Next slide is this is now decrease. This is Hani. Shatgun Hani. Decrease means Hani. Infinite times decrease, innumerable time decrease, numerable time decrease, numerable part decrease, innumerable part decrease, and infinite part decrease. So on one side we saw the increase, other time we are seeing a decrease, and so those Avibhag Pratiched will keep on increasing, decreasing in their own way constantly in a given mode all the time. Now, what does it mean? I can't explain because the literature is not able to say anything more. I don't know whether this slide is there or not. Let's see. Okay. So what does it? Vriddhi, Satgun Vriddhi we are talking. Infinite time increase means what? Means infinite time increase the smallest indivisible part of a given mode. Now, so the Avibhag Pratiched, one Avibhag Pratiched we take, and in that one, that could be infinite times increase can occur, numerable time increase, part decrease, and all this thing occurs in a Shat Gun Buddhi in a smallest indivisible part of a given mode. Remember, let's talk gross thing and from the fine thing. Can I perceive one mode right now? No, because what happens? My knowledge has so much, there's only so much capacity to know so many things. For example, if I blink of an eye, innumerable number of modes pass by. Now, think about it. How many times I must have blinked the eye since morning? I don't know. I can't count, and I don't know what it is and how many times it happens. But that many modes are occurring within me constantly. Now, out of there, I pick up one mode, and out of that one mode, there are infinite times or infinite types of smallest individual parts are there. And in that smallest indivisible part, all these reactions are occurring. So it is physically, it is beyond any human being capacity or any Samyak Drishti's capacity to understand this part. Because it's extremely super microscopic thing.
Uncle, can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Is a paryai vibration? Is it can you talk about a paryai being a vibration?
No, you are talking vibration means yoga you are referring to?
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a further definition of a paryai, a description of it, or?
No, but what you're saying, vibration is an attribute in a substance, and actually non-vibratory capacity is an attribute present in a substance, but in the altered form, this non-vibratory attribute keeps on vibratory in nature. So that's called yoga. A yoga is a gun, it's an attribute, and yoga is an altered form of a yoga attribute. So this yoga means kampan, means each and every space points of a soul keeps on having a kampan. And that kampan means a vibratory action occurs. And because of that vibratory activity occurring in the soul substance, that by nimit namitic sambandh, by principal cause auxiliary cause relationship, the vibratory activity will reflect upon mind, body, and the spoken words activity. So, Aryan Bhagwan has a presence of this vibratory activity present, and because of that thing, he still has a mind, body, and spoken words. But when it becomes 14th Gunsthanak, and then vibratory capacity stops, and now Ayogi attribute starts, and that is Siddha Bhagwan. So only difference between Siddha Bhagwan and Aryan Bhagwan from the soul perspective, everything is exactly the same. The omniscience knowledge is same. Omnipotent, the omniperception knowledge, omniperception is same. Passionless state is same. Everything is same between those two soul, Aryan and Siddh. Only thing, Aryan has vibratory capacity present, and that's why he has a body, and Siddha Bhagwan has a yogi attribute fully presented, and that's why there is no vibratory capacity. That means because of that thing, there is no limit of mind, body, and spoken word, and because of that thing, Bhagwan, Siddha Bhagwan has no body. It's a no form. It's a formless. So that what you're saying, the vibratory capacity, it comes there,
Excellent. What did you say? Vibration is kampan?
Kampan, yes.
Kampan and paryai ne kain lewa devanu nathi.
Because it's attribute, so it will have a mode. because it's attribute, so there's going to be mode. So that mode is going to make sure that all the attributes keeps on having vibration present, you know. Does it make sense?
No, but okay.
Yeah, well, you know, but this is what my understanding is, and I'll look at it. I'll find it out more about it. So we can, when we discuss next time, I'll just let you know more what happens to the, because your question is, if it is an attribute as a yog gun, it's a yog attribute. So that means it is an altered form. Is a yog means a vibratory capacity. So that mode also should vibrate. And I think that makes sense, but then the vibrate means what? I don't know. I don't know. Because only thing, because that mode could be vibratory in nature, then it will attract body, speech, and mind in the form of auxiliary cause. So the vibratory mode, that means speech, body, and mind, speech, body, and spoken words are also there as an external thing with the body, you know.
Yeah, Uncle, if you don't mind, if you give me just 10 seconds, I'll tell you where I was coming from.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
You know how you have FM radio?
Yeah.
It's a transmission, and it's composed of a bunch of frequencies that are overlapping each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just trying to draw an analogy with everything you're saying. So it sounded to me like an infinite number of pariyas were vibrating on each other, and then you go in and you pick out, you know, avibhag pratichet is basically one frequency, and then that gets, you know, increased. So, you know, that's the only thing that made sense to me anyway. So.
Okay. Well, you know what? I mean, I will. That analogy makes sense. That we should try to see whether it fits to this description or not. Let me try to look at it. I don't have an answer right now, but it's a good analogy. Good analogy. It makes sense. Okay, can we go further?
Yes.
So this is shadgun hani also means decrease. Infinite times decrease in the indivisible part of a given mode. Same thing happens. Innumerable time decrease, numerable time decrease, numerable part decrease, and all those things that we talked before, you know. So 1, 2, yeah. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So these are 3 are increase. Anant, Sankyat, increase. Anant, Sankyat, decrease. So this is Hani, means decrease. Previous slide, it says Anant, Sankyat times increase. Sankyat, Anant, part decrease, you know. So, you know, I think it needs to digest this one a little bit in a quiet way to understand this part. But again, as I said, the practical application probably is not there for us to understand. So as long as we know that the Shadgun Hani Vruddhi occurs in any Avibhag Pratiched, I think that should suffice to our discussion or understanding, you know. Okay, so now I'm a human being. When did I believe? When did I believe? I did not believe. This is basically the same thing that we are going with each and every attribute. So basically, it just says that if I believe that the eternal persistent permanence attribute is there, and that's why I have all this, my soul is there, my attribute is there, my modes are there, and if I believe that way, then I understand this attribute. If I don't believe, then I believe that, you know, body does all the work for me and everything, then I didn't believe this attribute, basically. Question: by having 6 types of decrease and increase and decrease in individual smallest part of mode, is there any change in the innate nature of a substance? That's a $1 million question. That the swabhava or the nature of the substance, does it change at all? It says never. Innate nature of the substance as well as all its attributes remain same forever. This is true for all 6 substances of the universe. So this increase and decrease of individual smallest part, what's a function? it is, I think, basically unknown to us. Basically, yeah, there is no explanation that we can give right now. What's the usefulness of this? What's the usefulness of 6 substances? Now, this is kind of a wrap up that all the things that we did for last 6-8 weeks or something. Eternal existence attribute means it says that no substance can be created or destroyed. Therefore, no one is doer of any substance. Causal efficiency, vastutva gun. Every substance keeps on performing its own purposeful activity. Every substance remains busy all the time. It's within its own purposeful activity, cannot do anything, cannot interfere in any other substance. Substantiality attribute means dravyatva gun. Every substance keeps on generating its own mode at a given moment, so no alien substance can influence its own activity. Each mode is independent of its own. So that's a third attribute that taught me what is a usefulness. Then objectivity told me every substance has objectivity attribute, therefore it's known by any form of knowledge. So the soul with its own knowledge can know everything, including 9 elements, true nature of the soul, etc. When soul puts its own personal effort, then everything can be known. So basically, objectivity attributes means if I put my personal effort, then I can know about my own soul. Period. Forget about knowing rest of the things. It's not important for me to know rest of the things. Important thing is to direct attention to my soul substance, and that way I can have my personal effort done, and I can obtain some expression that way. Extends into space. Every substance is independent. And every substance has independently its own shape. Bigger or smaller shape is not the beneficiary or detrimental to a given substance. And last one, eternal, persistent, permanent. Every substance has its own substancehood all the time. There is no other substance can influence any other substance. And modes also independent. Attributes are independent. So basically, all these 6 substances teach us that I am the individual person, I'm independent person, no outside object can affect my existence. And if we can have that kind of information sit properly in our brain, then we are on the very, very, very solid footing. And with that thing, the building coming up of the soul substance and attributes and all the next knowledge comes, that will be solid way it will be going up. And so my future will be much brighter because I'll be getting some darshan, because I'll be having the direct my soul substance will be 1 second, hold it. So I'll be directing everything to my own soul substance. My attention will be drawn to my substance, and that's the way I'm going to produce my pure mode. That's a Samyakdarshan mode. And that's the end of all our 6 attributes so far. We did about, say, 10 classes. But at least we have gone a lot, and we have gone through lots of detailed analysis of lots of things. And go through the slide your own, and then we may have a lot more question coming, and we'll just take a new subject thereafter, you know. Any questions so far?
India jaao cho next week?
Next week I'm going, so what I will do is, depending on where I am at the time, that we can work it out, because if I have good internet available, then 1 second, okay, hold it. Just a second. Let me answer this. They're trying to call me. Okay. I'm going to call you in 2 minutes. Okay, bye. Okay. Yeah. What I'll do is, depending on where I am and how strong is the internet,